Good morning, students. The topic we are having today is chemicals, which is under week 5. We are looking at the definition of chemicals, classification of chemicals, and the examples. Then we'll look at the safety, which is week 6. Now, what are chemicals? These chemicals, we can see them around us in the food we eat, in the clothes we wear, the vehicles we board, and the products we use every day. They help us to better our lives, to live a better life. So we must understand and respect their potential hazards because they can be dangerous too. If we don't, they may be harmful. Now, what are chemicals? Chemicals are distinct elements, compound, or mixture of elements and compounds, which can be artificially prepared or purified. That is, a chemical is any substance which has been artificially prepared or purified. Now, a chemical may be an element, a compound, or a mixture of elements and compound. So, anything that is produced by a reaction involving changes to atoms or elements or molecules is a compound or a mixture or an element. So, a chemical is actually artificially prepared or purified, and it can be an element, a compound, or a mixture of elements and compound. What are the classes of chemicals? We have different classifications. The first one here is the classifications based on use. Then classification based on hazardous nature. The first one, classification based on use. 2, classification based on hazardous nature. Now, what are those categories of chemicals that are based on use? That is, the chemicals that we use them on regular basis. A very good example is the pharmaceuticals, under which we have drugs, we have methylated spirits. Those chemicals that are useful, we use them under pharmaceuticals as drugs for us. We have cosmetics, creams and makeups. They are made up of chemicals. They contain chemicals. Then we have agrochemicals. Under agrochemicals, we have fertilizers and other nutrients that help the plants. That's under which we have pesticides, herbicides, all those ones that kill pests, they kill weeds, and so on. Then industrial chemicals, to those chemicals that we use in the industries. And lastly, we have laboratory chemicals. Those chemicals that are present in the laboratory that we use for experiments on regular basis. All these are classified as chemicals based on use. Then we have chemical based on hazardous nature. The chemicals based on hazardous nature can be harmful if not understood. So we need to know. We need to really understand them and the effects they can have if one is exposed to them. So we have highly hazardous and toxic chemicals. Toxics are poisons. We have moderately hazardous and toxic chemicals. We have non-hazardous and toxic chemicals. So what do you understand by hazardous chemicals? Hazardous chemicals are substances that can cause adverse health effects when exposed to them, either physically or on the health. Hazardous chemicals are substances that can cause adverse effects when exposed to them, either physically or to our health. Now, they are chemicals, or they are made up of compounds, mixture of elements and compounds, or element itself, which poses potential risk to safety or health of people. They can cause problems like breathing problems, skin rashes, allergic reactions, cancer, and so on and so forth. Now, when one is working in the laboratory, I once had an experience that the container of a chemical was not well closed, and it was there inside the cupboard where we kept it, and the cupboard was locked. Despite the fact that the cupboard was locked, the fumes, that's the vapor from the chemical, was still coming out. It affected everywhere, and I was exposed to it, and then it affected me a bit. So one has to be careful, because the rate of effect depends on how you have been exposed to it, the dosage that you have been exposed to. So hazardous chemicals can be of two types. It can be it can pose hazardous chemical can pose problem physically or health wisely. So what are the categories of chemicals that can pose physical hazards? That is, they can be dangerous physically and they can affect one physically. We have flammables, those chemicals that are flammables, that they can explode, like the ethanol that they use in hand sanitizer. The explosives, those chemicals that can explode easily, like all those trioxonitrates, chemicals that are made up of that they use to make fertilizers, they are explosive. Chemicals that they use to make all these explosives that we use during the festive period, they are explosive if one is not careful. Then we have compressed gases that has been compressed inside cylinders, can be dangerous. If they explode, it can be dangerous to the human physically. Combustible liquids that can also catch fire easily. We have oxidizers, chemicals that are oxidizing agents. If we don't cover them properly, they can affect one physically. They can explode and catch fire. We have organic peroxide, pyrophoric, unstable water. These are under physical hazard. Those ones can cause physical damage to one. And under physical hazard too, we have types of hazard. We have fire hazards and we have explosion hazards. Under fire hazard, we are still under chemicals based on hazard. We have chemicals based on use and chemicals based on hazards. Under hazards, I said we have physical hazard and health hazard. And under physical hazard, we have two types. It can be fire or explosion. Under fire hazard, we have flammable gas. Flammable, when you say something is flammable, it catches fire when exposed to flame. Like your perfume can also catch fire when you bring it close to a burning flame, and a naked flame. Now, flammable aerosols, like a perfume is an example of aerosol. Any liquid that when you spray it to the air, it moves in the air like a vapor, but it's a liquid from the container. When you press it, it will move through the air like a vapor. That's liquid passing through the air, which is the space around us. So an example is perfume. Flammable aerosol can catch fire. Flammable solids, there are some solids that can catch fire. Flammable liquid, like the ethanol or the alcohols. The combustible liquid, the oxidizer, and the pyrophoric. All these ones are under chemicals that can cause fire. Then we have chemicals that can cause explosions. The compressed gas. When you compress a gas in a cylinder, after some time, because of heat, it can explode. Explosives, like chemicals that are used for explosive, like the trioxonitrate 5-acid. We have organic peroxide and we have unstable water. Then under health hazards, which is still under physical hazard, we have under hazardous chemicals, we have two types. We have physical hazard, we have health hazards. So under health hazard now, we have chemicals that can cause acute, that's simple, or serious health effect when exposed to them. Don't forget I said we have chemicals based on use, chemicals based on hazard. Under chemical based on hazard, we have two types. We have physical hazards and health hazards. Under health hazards, we have fire hazards and fire hazards and explosive hazards, and explosive hazard. And under health now. How can chemicals affect the health? They affect the health in different ways when exposed to them. The category of them, some of the categories of these health hazards are irritants. Those ones that irritate when you breathe them in, they irritate your lungs, your throat, and the throat can even peel. Corrosives, those ones are very, very corrosive. They are also like the one that I said I was exposed to. They come in form of vapor, and they fill the air, and you continue to sit down and inhale it. It affects the chest. Sensitizers, hepatotoxins. Toxins are chemicals. Nephrotoxins, neurotoxins. I'm going to explain some of them, how they affect the body. Now, as an example of what do we mean by corrosives? Corrosives are chemicals that cause visible destruction. They affect the living tissue by chemical action. Now, what of irritant? Irritant which is not corrosive, the chemical which is not corrosive but which cause a reversible inflammatory effect on the living tissue by chemical action. Inflammatory effect, that is the skin or the tissue that they affect will peel, like the lungs now, the throat. When you are exposed to a chemical that is an irritant, it will peel your, as in, by breathing it in, it can peel your lungs, your throat. Now, sensitizers are chemicals that causes a substantial proportion of exposed people or animals to develop an allergic reaction in normal tissue after repeated exposure to them. Like, there are some chemicals that when you breathe them in, you start sneezing repeatedly. Now, what are the different ways of being exposed to these chemicals? Inhalation, you can breathe it in, that's inhalation. Ingestion, some of them can be eaten, maybe by mistake. Then body contact, there are some chemicals in the laboratory now that they are corrosive actually, like the sodium hydroxide. When you touch it, the dried salt, you think it's just a salt, but before you know it causes inflammation. The skin will become a wound. It causes wound on the skin. The hydrochloric acid now, those ones are also corrosive. They can eat up the skin. Then the physical hazards, we can get them through physical hazard, like through fire or pressure or through body exposure. Body absorption, some of them we absorb them through the body. Some of them body contacts, maybe we rub our body mistakenly on the table and there are chemicals on the table. This can affect us. What are the organs that they affect? All these ones I've mentioned are the ones that we get through inhalation, that we breathe them in, we eat them, or we rub our body on it, or they enter our body through absorption. Those ones, they affect different organs of the body. Example, hepatotoxin, those ones affect the liver. Affect the liver. Nephro, they affect the kidney. Nephrotoxin, toxins are poisons, they affect the kidneys. Neurotoxins, those ones affect the nerves. Your nerves, the nerves that helps you to get coordinated in the body. We have blood toxin, those ones affect the oxygen or hemoglobin, like those waste that comes out from vehicles. When a vehicle is being serviced, the waste product, that's carbon monoxide. That one, we reduce the oxygen in your body. That is, it also affects the health, and it can lead to suffocation and death. When you're exposed to that flame for a long time and there is no free flow of oxygen, it will take the place of oxygen and combine with hemoglobin in the blood, which can cause suffocation and death. We have respiratory toxins. These ones, they affect the lungs. Poisons that affect the lungs. We have those that affect the organs, chromosomes, and fetus, or organs of fetus, that's unborn babies. When a pregnant woman is exposed to it, some of them say through injection, maybe wrong drugs, it can affect the organs of the unborn baby, and then there will be malformation. Then we have cutaneous hazard. Those one, cutaneous has to do with the skin. They affect the skin. Then we have eye hazard. they affect the eyes. The person may not be able to see. Other effects, we have cardiovascular toxicity. Those one affect the heart. The immunotoxicity, this one, they reduce the immunity in the body to fight against diseases. They poison the immunity. We have connective tissue effect, sensory organ toxicity, like the sight, the hearing, the taste. Everything will become dumb. Some affect the intestine. Some affect the skeletal or muscular system, that one will not be able to move. Some affect the endocrine system. That's the hormones in the body that makes one to grow. Now, why am I saying all this? Mistakenly, maybe the person has been exposed to the chemical by, for instance, somebody who works in the chemical industry and the person is not taking precaution. The person does not cover his or her nose when supposed to cover it. The person does not take precaution and the person is exposed to it for a long time. It becomes harmful. Even though the chemicals are toxic, they are harmful. If one is exposed to this once, some of them can still cause problem. But there are some that they affect the body systematically. Maybe the person is exposed to them for a very long time. So we have dose times exposure. It becomes toxicity or harmful. So examples of hazardous and toxic chemicals generally, and I'm going to list them out. We have ammonia. Ammonia is used in the laboratory and is corrosive. It's not really corrosive, but exposure to it for a long time can also cause problem. Bleach. We use that one at home. If you mistakenly eat bleach, you know what it will cause in the body. It will damage the organs in the body and also make the lungs or the throat to peel. Oven cleaner, that's the sodium hydroxide that we even use to make soap. That one is very corrosive. Toilet bowl cleaners, that's a hydrochloric acid, the one that we use to bleach the toilet bowl. That's a white water closet to make it pure white. We have car wash and polish. We have shampoo, lice shampoo to wash the body of dogs. We have polish, car wash. This ones contains chemicals which can be poisonous. Flea powders, that is powders that kills fleas on the body of animals. We have pesticide, those ones that kills pests that invade the farm. Tar and bug remover. We have sodium or calcium hypochlorite. We have triclosan. This one is a drug or like a cream. If a child ingests this, it is dangerous. Formaldehyde. This formaldehyde is also poisonous when one is exposed to it for a very long time. Phenol, nitrobenzene. What of paints? When one is exposed to paints over and over, the odor from paints can also be harmful. That's in the paint industry, for instance. Now, we have drugs. Some drugs can be harmful when ingested. I told you different ways of getting these poisons. Inhalation, one can breathe it in. One can ingest it. Ingestion, inhalation, body contact, and so on. Now, we have cosmetics, cleaning chemicals. Detergents that we use at home is also poisonous because it's not edible. Gas cylinders, refrigerant gases, that is gases that come out from the fridge when exposed to them over a very long time, and when exposed to them can be harmful. Pesticide, as I've mentioned that. Diesel fuel. Now some people even go to the extent of inhaling the odor of diesel or fuel. Some even use mouth to suck fuel. There are some mechanic, they use mouth to suck fuel from vehicle. This is very dangerous as it peels the mouth and the lungs and the throat of the person. They cause inflammation. They are sensitizers or irritants. Now we have petrol, we have liquefied petroleum gas. We have welder fumes, the fumes that come out from weldering. When the welder is working, that vapor that comes out is dangerous. Asbestos, where they work in asbestos company, particles of this asbestos or cement industries, when those that work there are exposed to it for a very long time, it causes cancer of the lungs. So I know they have precautions. they cover their nose from time to time, because it may not have an immediate effect. The effect may be later when exposed to it for a very long time. We have gases, corrosive. Sulfuric acid is in the laboratory, and this one is very, very poisonous, very, very corrosive. Through body contact, if it touches the body, it can be harmful. It eats up the skin. So with this, we'll round up the class now. Don't forget, I said we have chemicals. Some of them are useful, some of them are hazardous, and we have those chemical based on use. I've given you examples, those ones that we use in our house from time to time. Then those that are hazardous too. Those, it does not mean that those that we use are also not hazardous. When we ingest them, they can be hazardous. So we just have two ways of classifying them: classification based on use, classification based on hazardous means. And we have different categories of hazards. Some can be physical, some can be on the health. I've given you the example. So when next we meet in the next video now, which I'm going to send very soon, we have the safety measures to be considered in handling chemicals, and probably we look at drug abuse.